My husband and his mother secretly sold my car, then told me, "You don't need it since you barely leave the house." When I confronted them, his mother sneered, "Be grateful we're not selling you next." I smiled, walked out, and called someone who'd been waiting for my signal. "My name is Marisol. I'm 38, work from home in Akron, Ohio, doing graphic design for a medical company. I don't go out much, but when I do, it's because I want to, not because I need permission." At least, that's what I believed before everything fell apart. It started small. Derek, my husband of 9 years, started making comments. Like, "You should get some sun," or, "When's the last time you left the house?" His mom, Lucinda, moved in last year after her hip surgery. She was supposed to stay 3 months. It's been 15. Lucinda never liked me. Not from day one. She'd roll her eyes at my work-from-home setup, make rude comments about my weight, my hair, even the way I made coffee. Derek always said, "That's just how she is," like it excused everything. One Friday afternoon, I was getting ready to go to the grocery store. I went outside, and the car was gone. I stood there staring at the empty driveway, thinking maybe I parked it somewhere else. But that made no sense. I only parked in that one spot. I went back inside. Derek was on the couch watching TV. Lucinda was at the kitchen table, sipping tea like she owned the place. "Where's my car?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. Derek didn't even look at me. "I sold it," he said, like it was nothing. I laughed. I thought it was a joke. "You did what?" He finally turned his head. "You don't use it, babe. It's just sitting there. You don't go anywhere." I looked over at Lucinda. She was smiling. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Be grateful we're not selling you next." I felt something snap inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just looked at both of them and said, "Okay." They were expecting a fight. I could see it in their faces. But I walked out the front door, pulled out my phone, and made a call I'd been thinking about for months. I called my cousin Javier. He runs a towing business in Cleveland and owes me big. A few years back, I helped him beat a DUI charge by designing fake invoices for court-ordered work hours. He never forgot that. He picked up on the first ring. "You ready?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I'm ready." He didn't need more. He knew what to do. Within the hour, he was in Akron with his tow truck. We went straight to the man who bought my Civic. His name was Mark Spencer, some shady friend of Lucinda's who flips cars for cash. We found the car parked in his lot. Javier did the talking. I stayed silent. Mark wanted double what he paid Derek. I paid it. Every cent from my savings. I didn't care. I drove that Civic home like it was a damn Ferrari. When I pulled into the driveway, Derek came running out. "Where the hell did you get that?" he shouted. I walked past him like he didn't exist. Lucinda came out too, looking like she saw a ghost. "You think this is over?" she hissed. I smiled. "It's just starting." What they didn't know was I had been recording everything for weeks. Every snide remark, every threat, every private conversation between them that I overheard through the vents. I had the recordings saved and backed up. I also had a friend, April, who worked at a law office. She helped me draw up papers to file for divorce, a restraining order against Lucinda, and even a claim for theft, because yes, selling someone else's car without consent is theft. But the real blow was coming. I got a letter from a lawyer in Toledo. My dad, who I hadn't spoken to in years before he passed, left me a car dealership. Turns out, it had been in his name but he'd kept it quiet. It had been making money quietly for years under a manager I'd never met. That manager contacted me after the lawyer told him I was the new owner. I didn't just get my car back. I got my power back. And I wasn't going to stop there. After I got my car back and the dealership news sank in, things at home turned even uglier. Derek was quiet for 2 days, like he was waiting to see if I'd explode or forgive him. Lucinda, on the other hand, was loud. Slamming cabinet doors, criticizing my cooking, and muttering things like ungrateful brat under her breath. I ignored them. I had bigger plans. I started commuting to Toledo once a week. The dealership manager, Reggie, showed me everything. The place was well run, but I saw ways to expand it. I told him I'd be stepping in as owner, and he seemed relieved. I had business cards printed. Marisol Torres, owner, Torres Auto Group. I didn't tell Derek a word. One night, I got home late from Toledo and found Lucinda sitting on the porch smoking, which she wasn't supposed to do near the house. "Where were you?" she asked, voice sharp. "Work," I said, walking past her. She grabbed my arm. "What kind of work?" I turned to her slowly. "The kind that buys a house in someone else's name." Her eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" I didn't answer. I went inside and locked the bedroom door behind me. 2 days later, I got a letter from the bank. Derek had tried to access our joint savings, even though I'd already emptied it. He'd applied for a personal loan using our marriage as leverage. He'd also listed me as a co-signer without my knowledge. I called April, furious. She told me to sit tight. "Let him bury himself," she said. "I'm preparing everything." A week passed. Then I got another bombshell. Reggie, the manager at the dealership, called me. "We got a visitor today," he said. "Who?" "Your husband. He tried to say he was co-owner. Said he was your business partner." I felt sick. Reggie laughed. "Don't worry. I told him to get lost. But you better do something about him soon." That night, I confronted Derek. He was drunk, slumped on the couch. Lucinda was upstairs. "You went to my dealership?" I asked. He blinked at me. "Our dealership," he slurred. "You're my wife. What's yours is mine." I stared at him for a long time. Then I said it. "I'm divorcing you." He froze. "You're not serious." "I'm filing everything next week." "And you'll be served. Don't ever go near my business again." He stood up, wobbling. "You're ruining everything over a stupid car?" "No," I said. "You ruined it when you decided I didn't deserve to make decisions in my own life." He lunged toward me like he might grab my arm, but I stepped back and pulled out my phone. "I've been recording," I said. "Try something. Please." He stopped. His face turned red. Then he stormed out the front door. Lucinda came down 15 minutes later. "Where's Derek?" "Gone," I said. "And you're next." Her eyes widened. "You can't kick me out. Watch me." I had the deed changed. The house, which had been under both our names, was now mine alone. Thanks to April and a lot of hidden paperwork, Derek had no idea how much I'd prepared for this. I gave Lucinda 30 days. She tried to fight it, but when I handed her the court papers, listing every instance of verbal abuse, financial manipulation, and theft, she went pale. "You'll regret this," she said. "No," I said. "You will." I walked upstairs and closed the door. And that was just the beginning. For the next few weeks, the house was quiet, which should have felt like peace, but it didn't. I kept waiting for the next hit, and it came soon enough. One morning, I got a call from Reggie at the dealership. "You sitting down?" he asked. "Not yet." "Why?" "Lucinda just showed up. Said she's your new business partner. Said she has paperwork to prove it." I gripped the phone tighter. "What kind of paperwork?" She had a typed-up letter, looked fake as hell. "Signed your name at the bottom." My stomach turned. "Did you let her in?" "No. I told her she needed a court order or to leave. She threw a tantrum, yelled at customers. I had to call the cops to escort her off the lot." I was shaking with anger and embarrassment. Lucinda was trying to crash my life from the outside now. She was desperate. After the call, I checked my email. Sure enough, she'd sent the same forged letter to a few of the suppliers connected to the dealership, claiming to be co-owner and requesting financial records. I forwarded everything to April. She didn't even hesitate. "We're filing a fraud report today," she said. "And I want a restraining order put in place for her, separate from the one involving Derek." Lucinda had no clue what she'd triggered. The next day, Derek showed up at the house. I watched him through the front window. He looked thinner, eyes sunken in. I didn't open the door. Instead, I picked up my phone. Called April. Called the police. The restraining order had been active since last week. They took him in for violating it. Lucinda called me an hour later, screaming into the phone. I hung up. She called again. I blocked her. Then I went to the dealership and had the locks changed. But it wasn't over. 2 nights later, someone threw a rock through my front window. I was upstairs and heard it shatter. I ran down, heart pounding. Nobody was there. Just the cold night air and a small note tied to the rock with tape. It said, "You think you've won? We're not done." I sat down on the floor and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because they were running out of moves, and all they had left were scare tactics. I installed cameras all over the house the next day. I sent a copy of the note to April and the police. We documented everything. And then, one more twist. April dug deeper and found out that Lucinda had been collecting disability benefits under false information. She'd lied on multiple forms, hiding the fact that she was earning side income flipping cars with her son. We sent that report straight to the authorities. Lucinda didn't know it yet, but she was about to lose more than her free place to stay. Derek had already been fired from his job after missing work for 2 straight weeks. Turns out, drinking and trying to harass your wife doesn't mix well with HR policy. And I had just finished hiring 2 new salespeople for the dealership. Business was booming. Still, I knew this wasn't the end. The last strike hadn't landed yet. They were desperate. But I was ready. 2 weeks after the rock came through my window, everything came to a head. It was a Thursday morning. I was in Toledo, sitting in my office at the dealership, when Reggie knocked. "You've got visitors," he said, his voice low. I looked out the window. Lucinda and Derek were standing in the parking lot. Derek looked like he hadn't showered in days. Lucinda had sunglasses on and a stack of papers in her hand. Reggie already called the police, but I told him to wait. I walked outside. Lucinda stepped forward. "We're here to settle this." I looked her dead in the eye. "There's nothing left to settle." She pulled out the papers and waved them. "These prove Derek has a right to half of this business. You were married when it was signed over." Derek stayed quiet, shifting on his feet. I raised an eyebrow. "You sure you want to do this here? In public?" Lucinda sneered. "You think you're better than us now." "I know I'm better than what you tried to turn me into." Then I held up my phone. "You're both being recorded right now. Anything you say will be sent to the judge." That's when Reggie came out with a police officer. Not a regular cop, this was Detective Hall. We'd spoken earlier that week. Lucinda's face changed the second she saw the badge. Derek looked ready to bolt. Detective Hall handed Lucinda a folded document. "Lucinda Herrera, you are under investigation for disability fraud and identity forgery. You're also being served with a restraining order violation and criminal misrepresentation charges." She tried to play dumb. "This is a mistake." "No," I cut in. "You forged my signature. You lied to government programs. And you tried to sabotage a legal business." 2 more officers stepped forward. One of them read her rights while the other cuffed her. She screamed, "You bitch. You set us up." I stepped closer. "You set yourself up. I just let you do it." Derek backed away, but the detective turned to him. "Derek Torres, you are being served with a civil lawsuit for attempted financial fraud, identity misuse, and violation of a protection order." He tried to talk his way out of it, but they cuffed him too. Before they took him away, I looked him straight in the face. "You stole from me, betrayed me, tried to ruin me. Now you've got nothing." He said nothing. Lucinda screamed the whole way to the patrol car. Derek didn't even look back. By the end of that week, I was contacted by a state investigator. Lucinda's fraud case had been opened wide. She'd been collecting disability checks for nearly 8 years while flipping cars under the table and funneling cash through friends, including Derek. All of it was going to court. Derek's name ended up on 3 fraudulent loan applications. They found evidence of identity theft involving me and 2 other women. One was an ex-girlfriend. He was facing prison time. Lucinda was looking at a full federal investigation. But even after all that, I didn't feel completely free. There was one last thing I had to do. I drove to the house I once shared with them. It was empty now. Lucinda had been forced out by court order, and Derek had nowhere to go. I walked inside with my realtor and signed the final listing papers. I sold it that same week for a solid profit and donated part of the money to a local women's shelter. Then, I took the rest and bought a new house in Perrysburg. Peaceful. Quiet. Safe. A month later, I stood in the driveway of my new home, watching the sunset. Javier was visiting. April had come over too. We sat on the porch drinking tea, laughing, talking about life. "You really did it," April said. "You got them both." I nodded. "No, they got themselves. I just made sure the truth came out." Javier raised his glass. "To Marisol. The most dangerous woman in Akron." We all laughed. And for the first time in years, I felt light. I felt strong. I didn't just survive what they did to me. I turned it into the best damn thing that ever happened to me. And they'll be paying for it the rest of their lives.